Hey, what's going on? It's Rich. It is Monday. Not the worst thing in the world. Really, I swear. I promise. Not on the sectional today. I am actually sitting in Mom's old rocker. I've been using it most of the day. I've been filming my burnout workshop videos. I've shot about 5, about an hour and change. And this bad boy should be up and running soon, I suspect. So I really can't wait to be able to share that with people. Maybe give you some insight on how to handle situations in the workplace that aren't necessarily the best, but learning about what's in your control, what's out of control, and how to navigate the scene. And I think a lot of people will get a lot out of it. But anyway, on to today's topic. I asked a question earlier about what anxiety looks like for people because, what's more fun on a Monday night than talking about anxiety? Woohoo! But anyway, if I'm gonna, share with people what got me to where I can manage, I have to, at least in my head, at least explain a lot of where I'm coming from. And my experience is I eventually shut down because as I try to fight through it, it just snowballs. And let me go through what I mean by that, because that's a really general kind of thing. For me, a lot of times, outwardly, it looks like I'm pissed off. It looks like I'm agitated and aggravated. And I'm just kind of sending out this leave me the hell alone vibe. Now, what's going on internally is, it's very similar to how I describe fight or flight. And I think in different ways people get a lot of that. Fight or flight, the syndrome that, hi Jackie, hi Jackie, hi Jackie. Renata, that's interesting that you say that. I think a lot of it shows up differently for different people. There's no blanket thing about any of that. But for me, it starts, the heart starts thumping, the head starts spinning, that voice that you have in the head that starts screaming at you for stuff, it really starts picking at you, and it's looking for something to fight. That, I like to call it the monkey mind. That's that old Buddhist term. I know, people that hear me speak, I use it all the time. When I talk, I use it I used it in my book. I am obsessed with that term. And that's basically what happens. That it's like having a monkey in here that is just out of control. It's just flinging crap all over the place at you. And that's kind of what goes on. You hear the words, you hear the negativity, and as that starts up, you start going into, and kind of shut down. And for some people, it could be you lose breath control, and the breath becomes shallow. Other people, myself, the breathing doesn't go so much, but what I do find is that I can't process logic very well. My senses start to diminish. They don't shut down, but I don't see and I don't hear and I just don't process what I'm experiencing as well. It's like you get this turns into a tunnel, and you're just not open to anything anybody has to say. You're not open to the signals that you're seeing around you. You're not, it's, you, and what's basically happening is, like I said, you're going into fight or flight. It's that mechanism that your body has that it basically takes all your energy and forces it into the parts you're going to need to either run like hell or fight to the death. And so that's where all the other stuff gets lost from. Now, here's the thing. That's perfect when you're in physical danger. And I'm not, there's points where that can be a thing. And looking at Jen's comment, like a vicious cat fight running through it can't be seen and makes you feel like I have to hide in a calm, quiet place to cool the cats. That makes perfect sense. Because a lot of times you just, and that's, the instinct. You want to run, you want to hide, you want to go be small, you want to disappear, you want to bail. And it's all part of it. And you just can't. It's really a frustrating place, and what's going on is that mechanism is still there, and even though you don't have as much situation where you would a few generations back, where you were like out, having a run from bears and elephants and God knows what on a regular basis, that mechanism hasn't quite evolved yet. So it's still looking for ways to keep you safe. And it starts going into gear when, you're you're in a stressful moment at work, or you look at the bank account, you're like, oh shit, how am I going to get through to the rent this week? Or, there's an issue going on at home or with one of the kids or a pet. And instead of being able to take that energy and focusing on the task at hand and how to deal with it, you're just trying to run or trying to fight. And there's part of you that does know that that's pointless, and that's what tries to fight with it. But it doesn't, fighting with it doesn't bring it down. It makes it worse. And that's kind of what I was talking about with snowballing. When I try to do something, I try to compensate for it, I'm debilitated. I'm on my C- game at best, and I'm trying to dig out of it, and I'm failing miserably because all it does is make it stronger. And that's the point where I start, I start getting really angry and frustrated, and I have to pull myself out of a situation. I have to get my ass out of the way, which hopefully I'm in a position where I can do that, and I'm not like, I wasn't like at work or something like that. Getting there, getting warmer, Jackie, but not quite. What I've found, and with the help of a great therapist, I can't take credit for this, is you just, you duck out to a point where you're not in a position where you're responsible for something as much as you can. You do the best you can with that. So if you're home alone with small children, you can't. But yeah, kind of like dodge it. And what you need to try to get yourself in a position to do is just let go and let it freaking do its thing. And it's not an automatic, it's not a natural thing to be able to do. Your instinct is to fight. You have to learn not to. Treat it like the tidal wave that it is, and just let it crash out, let it splash, let it do its thing. And then when it does that, it eventually passes. Let me give you a little better analogy that I know I've used with some of you before. Jackie, it was a complete 180 for me. It's a complete 180 for most people. You are not in the majority on that. This is it is very opposite of what we are wired to try to do. Many of us are fixers. We try to fix ourselves. We try to fix. And when that wave comes, it's not a fix. Now, as I keep going with this, let me take a second and let me address some of the things that are out there that people use. They might be using medication, or there might be some sort of other thing that they might have learned from a therapist or a doctor or things like that. Now, I will never, ever, ever, even if I would do something different myself, I am never going to tell you to counter medical advice. Ever, ever, ever. That's between you and your doctor to figure that shit out. Capiche? But if you can learn to let it roll off, I am going to take a gander here that's going to help the medication do its work. If you don't fight it, you let what needs to happen happen. Anything else you learn, it's just going to help that. Yes, we can, Renata, and I'm not dealing with the issues surrounding it. That's going to come at another point. And we'll need to go back and really start to question things. But you can't really question in the middle of a whole big wave. Because you just don't have it in you in the moment to be able to do that. And do that in a way that's going to help you out. Am I making myself clear? If I'm not, please just put what's confusing you or put any questions in the comments, and I'll try to go back to them. This is not something I'm going to knock out entirely tonight. I'm going to do more of this week. I think tonight we're just kind of dealing with the wave in the moment, and then we'll start dealing with some of the other stuff around it. Okay? The analogy I wanted to go back to, which might help, is you're in Walmart, you've got a toddler, and the toddler wants a toy or something like that, and it's like a $250 toy, and you've got like $27 in your bank account. It ain't happening. And the child just loses its freaking shit. We've all seen it. We've all lived it. The screaming, the crying, completely out of control. Now, what's going to happen is your instinct is you're going to want to scream back because, you're pissed, you're embarrassed, you're dealing with this crap in the middle of the store, and you just want it to stop. I get that. Trust me, that's my first instinct too. But, that being said, it doesn't work. The child is not tuned in. The child is just gone. There's no processing anything that you're going to have to say or argue with at that moment. All you can do is just try to, console the child and try to get the child to, bring the child down. Let things play themselves out as you're gradually working your way to the car. You're going to have to try to really, and what happens is eventually the small child is not going to be able to sustain it because it takes so much energy that it can't possibly hold out. The energy's going to drop, and then ultimately the child's just going to crash. You buckle the child in the back, and then you take it from there. And that's basically what you got to do. You got to let the freaking thing do its stuff. Try to observe. Don't take any of what it says to heart. Because it's bullshit. It's all bullshit. Keep that in mind. None of it is real. It's old history. It's old wiring. It's old, outdated protection mechanisms. Trying to help you, but failing miserably because they can't do the job. Because we've evolved to the point where its services are no longer needed, but we haven't figured out how to fire it yet. So that's the point where I think I want to bring it to a halt for now. Because that in itself is a lot to take in, and it's a lot to process. And that is a lot of relearning and rewiring. And if there's anything with that I can help you out with, anything specific that you don't want to any part of on a public Facebook page, shoot me a message. I'm glad to try to help you work it out. I will give you a heads up. I'm going to be off the grid a little bit tonight. probably in about a half an hour to most of the night here on the East Coast. But I will get your messages and I will get back to you, and I will be around during the day tomorrow. Gonna be shooting a little bit more in the way of videos for the burnout workshop, and that's, I think, about, yeah, it is. This, I am telling you straight up, it's not a quick fix. This is not easy. And it's a process. It will always be a process. You're not going to be perfect at this. And let's just get it down. Perfect does not exist. Except for bowling and possibly Fibonacci sequences. But I'm not even sure about that. But we're on the East Coast. I am in Massachusetts. I am about an hour south of Boston. So I'm just south enough to not have a total Boston accent. I've got a little bit of the Rhode Island one kind of stuck in there, which kind of has a little bit of a New York twinge. So it's just a hot mess here. Oh, nice. Renata, you're just a whiz. Like, I wouldn't be able to do that. Like, I wouldn't be able to figure out any of those things. Oh, downstate New York, you are not far away at all. You're just a few hours. Chopin's Nocturnes. You know what? I'm open. I'm terrible at recognizing classical music. Like, I'm good at recognizing, tunes and things like that, but I can't remember what belongs to where. I'm just terrible at that. I gotta work on that. But that's all I got tonight. And then, ooh, classically trained pianist. I learned chopstick once. And I actually, at one point in my 1 year in college, there was a piano in the dorm. And I somehow figured out the intro to Don't Stop Believing. I'm not sure I could do it on a keyboard if I tried these days, but I was proud of that then. I will do that tonight. But all right, all you piano geniuses are all making me jealous, so I'm going to step off now, and then tomorrow night, or whenever I get to it tomorrow, we'll talk more about what happens after the wave, and if anybody's got any good questions or things that I need to kind of address before that, we will get into that then. Much love. Have a wonderful night. And I'll chat soon. Night.